Hey, salute to everybody joining me live. Let's see what Eerie Links is talking about. This is what's going on trending right now. Let's see what she has to say.
I think I have a thing for toxic energy. So I think there's still some more healing that I need to do because when I look back on all of these energies, um, it's a shame I gave them so much time and there were sweet energies that I didn't. And
Yeah.
so now I see those sweet energies getting married and starting families. I'm just like, dang, that
Mm.
probably could have been me if I recognized the security in those individuals at the time. And like now I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely feeling that now. I'm aware that there's something going on. There's something wrong.
What do you think it is that attracts you to like toxic energy?
I think they just seem really exciting at first. The chemistry is incredible. And they don't even always be fine. It's not even that like they're sexy or something. I mean, well, they're sexy, but they don't be the finest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's just an energy. It's sometimes it's convenience, what we talk about. A lot of those the sweeter energies that I felt like weren't for me. I felt I could see myself falling asleep a little bit on the phone. So
Hmm.
I don't know if that's like if boring is good or not. Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out what that means. Like
It's the thrill.
yeah.
It's the thrill of it.
Yeah,
What's your sign?
absolutely.
Fascinating. What an interesting conversation. Well, good morning to everybody out there today. Um, really wanted to have a live stream. This is a general Q&A because we've had a lot of subscribers that have come to the channel, and obviously for my people that have supported me for so long, especially channel members. I decided to do a live stream, no specific topic, but just to have a general conversation, answer some questions, probably just, say thank you to those people who've joined the channel, subscribed to the channel. But this is something that I see is happening a lot, especially on social media, where a lot of people, women especially, are having a lot of regrets about decisions that they've made in their youth and regretting family, regretting getting married young, regretting, wasting their youth on things that don't yield fruit as you get older. And this is going to be a conversation that's going to be had a lot. Is anything going to change? Probably not, because with the attention that social media gives, attention is like the most dangerous drug in the world right now. It is a global thing where individuals, especially women, are sucked into social media, the validation, the attention. And I always say, if social media was to crash for 6 months, you will absolutely have a mental health crisis, a mental health breakdown because of the validation that comes from social media and how that's changed everything, the dynamics of dating, the dynamics of relationships. All those things have changed in this era of social media. It was already trending that way with certain type of mindsets and mentality, you know, with feminism, with the culture. But I think social media was the straw that broke the camel's back because it allowed people to not live in their truth and not live in their reality. Hey, good morning, you guys, man. Greetings, uh, divine affirmations now, and greetings to Timmy C. You. Good morning from Phoenix, Arizona. Hitting Sedona a little, a little later. Yeah, man. Peace and blessings to you guys, and guys, appreciate you coming through. But this is the thing about with social media, and I always think like even some people, I see some of the Gen X people and some of the Scott Galloways of the world and some of the other people that don't understand the world that we live in now because of social media and being out of touch with reality is what I say, what I see quite a bit often. And it doesn't even matter your age. I mean, this people my age, again, you can see a lot of sad people with happy pictures because what people do is post only the happy things in their life on social media. And then there's the sin of comparison, where they compare their lives to other people's lives. on social media, on this instrument, and not even understanding that many of the people are not living the life that they post online. Even you see with content creation, content creators all the time get exposed for living a lie, not living in their truth, or advertising one message, and they don't even live the message, live the life that they're talking about. So Aries spirits comes out. There's a lot of people. It doesn't have to do with race or anything like that. I mean, you look at situations where certain content creators, certain people, like, no, I got the wrong channel. Hold on 1 second. You see a lot of people coming back to the table with many regrets about the things they've said in the past. Let me give you an example of this, what I'm talking about. I saw Reba TV made this video yesterday about what's the young lady's name? B. Simone. After saying all those things in the past, there's a lot of regret that you see with a lot of these, because again, family, marriage situations, there's one thing to live in this social media bubble, but to deal with and face reality. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. And this is reality versus fiction. Hold on 1 second.
I want to publicly apologize to the internet, to God, to anybody that I offended, anybody that I've hurt.
All it takes for you to come down to reality, B. Simone, is one wrong post. You are one viral video away, one internet canceling away from being back at Forever 21 selling
River TV.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Riva, and I'm back again with another video. Now, B. Simone is going viral again for the umpteenth time. Okay? Literally, B. Simone has been canceled, revived, canceled, revived, canceled, revived. And this time, I believe, has been the longest span of her being canceled. And so she has resurfaced back to the conversation with an apology video. I want to apologize. Basically, stating that she is apologizing for everything that she's ever done wrong throughout her time on the internet. And of course, if you guys are unaware of who B. Simone is, she is a comedian.
A second. Yeah, I had to grab my phone for a second. We all know who she is. He said, my girl says she wants to get a job. We've been together 4 years. How should I get her a job where she doesn't deal with men constantly? She's okay with women only feels. The only way to do that is for you to create a job yourself. I don't know whether you run a side business or whatever else. You create a job and she works for you. That's the only way to do that. Otherwise, she's going to be around men. But the greater question you have to ask is, what is it that you fear? Is the question. What is it that you fear about your girl being around men? Is the fundamental question you should ask. I asked the question, if you have $1 million, would you fear losing a nickel? That's the question you need to have. So you have to have a mindset that you have $1 million and you ain't going to lose no sleep if you lose a nickel. It's the mentality that keeps women in line. The mentality of a difference. No man with $1 million is walking around here worried about losing 5 cents. So you got to think like that. Not that she is that, but that's more so the mindset, the mentality. And if they go, let these wild horses run free. There's billions of women in this world. That's how you got to behave. Be honest with you. She go, that's that dude's chick. He can deal with that problems. They can kick rocks. That's the mentality you have to have. You can't fear losing women, or you can't fear other dudes getting them. They get them. That's his broad now. He got to deal with that shit. That ain't your problem. You just get another one. Yeah, that's what you got to look at it that way. And again, that's one of the things I talk about with the channel. You know, even if I'm dealing with a woman, I don't give a rat's ass whether she works around dudes or not. You know, if some other dude gets her, congratulations, my brother. You've got yourself a new chick. There's millions more where that one came from. You know, it is what it is, you know. And once women smell that on you as a man, if women see, I always talk about having that new box look in your eyes as a man. If women feel or think that you can get another woman, they stay in line. If they feel like you don't fear that you're losing them, they behave themselves. That's really just the way they are, you know, all of them, you know. You know, that's what it is. The world, and fortunately, even with us, with social media the way it is, you know, the world is you know, there's always an access. You know, there's always a portal to the woman that you have in your life. There's a portal to you. You think about Facebook. You put a post on Facebook. You have women come through from your past, people that are friends on Facebook. There's always a portal. Yeah. He said, divorce after 50, decided I wanted my peace and respect. Now my kids don't talk to me. They don't talk to you. How old are they? Ask the question. You know. How old are they? And I don't know what's their age, you know, age ranges. That would be more helpful in terms of that, because it depends on their age ranges. Yeah, that's parental alienation, though. The question becomes is what's being said to those kids? And that's a tactic a lot of women use, because many times the mother, in many situations when divorces don't work out a certain way for the woman, she knows that the only way to hurt us or hurt men is to weaponize the kids against them. So what happens inevitably is there is mind game and it's a manipulation process of weaponizing kids against the father to hurt him emotionally. And that's one of those situations where you have to ride that out with time and age. When you get them, when you have custody of them, or when you have an opportunity, in the end, in the distance, it works out in your favor, especially if you stay focused and you stay squared away, you know. And it's the distance that really matters with kids. Kids are smart. They'll get to a certain point, they get to a certain age, and they'll realize that, you know, mom was on some bullshit. Because again, it's about many, not all women, but the majority of them is this. When you're no longer with them, they don't really want to see you winning. They want to see you losing. Imagine you're no longer with a woman and you're thriving, you're shining, you're glowing, you're out here winning. And she says, wow, he left me and he got better. They're not going to allow that. So they're going to find ways of irritation to distract you of your purpose, to knock you down to earth, to ground you. So it's a mental game of manipulation, you know. It's a mental game of messing with people, man. Yeah, there you go. He said that The Predatory Female by Shannon Lawrence is a must-read for every man. The dating Bible. But once you understand, like, it's about, you're not with them anymore. They don't want to see you winning, out here, squared away, in shape, your money's right, your mental health is right, you're taking care of your body, you're out here smiling. They don't want to see that shit. They want to see you eating out the trash can. Look at him. He was a bum. That's why I left. I don't no longer with him. That's what they really want to see. Because once you understand that game, then you understand how to pray, how to deal with them. Yeah, absolutely. He said that nonsense trope won't, not in the age of the internet. Too many children of divorcees are coming together and finding out they're getting one-sided story. I see that with, what's this guy's name? What's his name? David Goggins. David Goggins just had the situation where his wife was telling his daughter he was like a deadbeat dad, David Goggins, and she was putting all kinds of information in her head. This dude came with receipts. Remember when David Goggins came with receipts and he showed his daughter he had paid like millions, like what, 2 million or something in child support and spousal support, and he paid like that kind of money, and his ex-wife had just fooled his daughter's head with a whole bunch of nonsense. So in the distance, they all get it all comes out, because here's the thing about it, man. There's only so much. One second. Hey, make sure you guys hit the like button. There's only so much of that stuff they could do for so long until these kids get older and get smarter. They go to high school. And they see. People believe what they see more than what they hear. And as time goes on, these kids are very smart. They start looking back. Hold on. You said this about dad, but that's not true. That's not true. Because when I'm with dad and what I see dad do, it doesn't match what you're saying about him. And they figure that shit out. So you win that. And there's things, time affects us different than it affects women. And many times the older you get, if you take care of your health, if you work out, the more powerful you become. You become more powerful mentally, financially, and even your circumstances in life where you get more freedom. And those kids get older, now they're adults, and now she no longer is a part of the equation. You see, at some point, those kids will grow up and she will no longer be a part of the equation. Now you're dealing with that adult to adult, and the conversation is had between the two of you because she has no longer influence. And then what happens is, even though she's tried to ruin that relationship and alienate that relationship, you're having an adult conversation with adult girls and adult boys, and now it's just you, dad, and them, and there's nobody in between, and that is a different conversation. He said, the reason why I want my lady around men is because I don't want her dealing with male pressure constantly in the workplace. Well, she's dealing with male pressure through this. Remember, it's not like it used to be. Every day, a woman, if she looks decent, there's dudes coming through this. You can't control that. All you can control is you. And the only way for women not to be in the workforce is for them to work for you. If she works for you, or then you have, and even then, if she works for you, that minimizing it by maybe 90%, but there's still this. Social media changed the game. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Yeah, the internet changed the game completely. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of dudes don't realize. You've got to be indifferent in this environment. You got to have antifreeze blood. And in terms of dealing with so many of the things that come through with social media, it's a different game out here, man. And I talk to guys a lot about protecting your mental health. And I always go back to that Patrice O'Neal statement. If your woman was to leave you today, what would you lose? I can't play that Patrice O'Neal clip. What will you lose if your woman was to walk away today? And you've got to be in that mindset as a man because of the way the world is operating. the influence of social media, understanding that there's always distractions. Because remember, it can also be not necessarily men, but many times, often, is the influence of females. Remember, women sabotage. Men compete, women sabotage. Jealous sisters, jealous cousins, jealous friends, co-workers that are jealous. Many times it's the women that set other women up to get ran through. And not just the dude, just the thirsty dude at work, 9 times out of 10, he has a certain roster that he's dealing with already. And what's up, my brother Top Gun? Salute to you, man. My boy, you always supporting, man. Thanks for coming through, man. But it's women that be setting women up for failure. You know what I mean? Girl, get out here. Don't listen to him. Or girl, go out here. If he ain't married to you, he can't tell you nothing. Go out there and keep your options open. And she go out there, they get her ran too. Yeah, exactly. It's them. Yeah, it's the women that set each other up. Let me tell you something, man. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Women, they hate each other. If you know how women think, you can be on the receiving end of so much box. I'm not saying you should. If you know how women think, you could be on the receiving ends of so much prey on. You see? When they're in a group, in a pack, you got to play them a certain way. When they're alone, you'll find that it's a whole different conversation than when they're in that group. When they're alone, you'll find out that they hate 90% of the women in that group. And all those women in that group are saboteurs of each other. You know how you know? When they go on these girls' trips, right? When these women go on these girls' trips, let Big Ding-a-ling Quentin on the beach in Jamaica give one of them attention. When they go on these girls' trip, let Quentin walking down the beach in Jamaica, he wants Waiting to Exhale, let him start kicking game to one of these women. All of a sudden, there's chaos in the friend group. And she disappear all week with Big Ding-a-ling Quentin. And she's gone. They don't have no loyalty to each other. That's why they sleep with each other's men. They got side chicks. Married men are the biggest target. They'll abandon each other in a second. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. The only reason why I won't say, it is what it is. The white women overseas in the Caribbean make the best tricks. The white women are better for tricking. That's why the brothers in Gambia or Jamaica like white women. The reason why they like white women in those islands is because white women, that Western Union comes on time. That Western Union comes on time. The women, the black women from the Black America, they want to bring Quentin back to America, want him to get a job and become a provider. And she's old and fat, and he's young and muscular. He ain't trying to be no provider for no old women. That's why the black women can't get they can't go to Gambia or Jamaica because they don't want to pay. Them dudes rather deal with some old European woman that's going to pay. The Western Union be on time every month. But they have no loyalty to each other. Hell no, they don't. No. Why? They don't have any loyalty. Loyalty. Man, these dudes, they so thirsty, they don't care about other men. They sleep with their wives, their girlfriends. They don't care. You're right. You're working too hard, my brother. Create one. You ever talk to like Theo Wolf? Theo Wolf? You check out those guys. Theo Wolf, he has a lot of tech certifications and whatever else that they can get. But bro, you're shielding. You're shielding, man. There's no way to shield. But I would go with Theo Wolf. He does some certifications and stuff like that. Look him up with the Black Manosphere or whatever else. He teaches a lot of tech, a lot of jobs that you can have. But I think AI right now coming in, so it's a little bit strange now. But you can get certifications where you can work from home. But he does the technical stuff more so. Yeah. You'll see him on some of the channels, especially the Black Manosphere channels. You'll see him on those. But he has a lot of certifications and stuff that people can get into. Yeah. So, but that's what but you see this one right here, B. Simone. She's obviously, make sure you guys hit the like button. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the like, support the channel. You want to donate to the channel, please do. You can always support the channel because we want to keep, I mean, the advertisers, they come at me about, certain things, let me put that banners there. You can support the channel at $ a Peaceful Life 23. I try to keep this channel free of advertisers because they want to really, the link down below for Cash App, they try to really, they want me to say certain things that are not natural to me. They may want me to tone it down. What's up, my brother? Hey, peace and blessings to you, man. So I'd rather just deal with channel support, super chats and whatever else, because then I don't have to deal with advertisers. Because they send me email every day about advertise our products and they want me to be nicer and whatever else. But you're going to see a lot of these old chicken heads like this one right here coming out the closet because what they really want right now, she'll be in the church because they all pontificate religion. She'll be trying to rebrand herself, trying to get somebody to marry her. I don't know who married this one because she's made statements about her disdain for things like showers and all that other stuff. But she'll try and rebrand. This is her rebranding. This is the rebranding strategy right here. And she's going to come back out and try and put brand new prices on that thing. And then she's going to try and get some jellyback simp. She's already mounted off. You already ran her mouth. You know her personality. So, I mean, I don't know how she's going to rebrand this, but, it is what it is. But, hey, how old are you, my brother? Just curious. How old are you? Go ahead. Let me let this play. Curious.
Comedian, an entrepreneur, a social media personality who, has been on social media, on Instagram to be exact, for, so many years. And through that has built different businesses, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. And so, we're just going to go ahead and dive into the apology.
By the way, let me explain to you something about women like this. Women like this, the majority of them be on antidepressants. They're what I call EDPs, emotionally disturbed people. And they're very much on, these people, when they come and make social media posts, half of them are taking medications, they have to go to therapy. And this is a chicken head. This is what we could call back in the days, in the 90s. And the young lady, they are chicken heads. It's just that social media has given power to women that would be literally deemed chicken heads back in the day and ignored. So this is just a chicken head. I mean, I hate to say it about the young lady, but there's no classifications nowadays because everybody is a baddie and everybody is a self-empowered, strong women, and they have really got rid of shame. They've made every woman great. That's what they've done. That's what social media has done. It has made every woman great. But for the men that she would be attracted to, she's invisible because she has the chicken head energy. But they have increased the value or the perception of value based upon, social media and whatever else. So he said if she's over 27, oh, don't fall for the repentance and sin fee. Nah, yeah, she's done. She's cooked. She's cooked. She really realizes that she wants a husband. And many of them come on. Everybody is a bone in the nose. Yeah, barbarian. You know, they're all tens. But this is the spin the block. This is how they spin the block. They're going to spin the block, and then the gaslighting grift starts. You're going to see her pontificating religion heavily back in the church and rebrand. That's how they get husbands or get sucker simp husbands. But the men that they want, if they're in the church, they're married. And the single guys that they want are not going to church. Because the men that go to church that they want already got women in their lives. And the single guys that they want are not going to those churches. I mean, the easiest place for women to meet men nowadays is to go to the gym. Most of the guys, especially with guys that have been cracking the whip on men for so many years, like the Kevin Samuels and many people in the manosphere, red pill spaces, are telling guys to get their bodies together, square themselves away, focus on their money. So you're going to find a lot of men in the gym at certain times of day. I go with the early morning crew, then there's the midday crew, then there's the afternoon crew that go work on their bodies and do things, and they're working, or they're in seminars, or they're doing home improvement. You find them at the stores doing projects and whatever else. But this is a spin the block mentality that you're going to see happening nowadays, because they're saying to themselves, this is an unstable world. The economy is crazy. AI is coming. Social media profits in with this. Women aren't making the money on TikTok anymore. Very few women can monetize and make money on OnlyFans. The money ain't being given out like it used to be. It just ain't. And then you have a reputation and a history that precedes you. Now you got to worry about how the men that you want will perceive you in terms of anything long-term and serious. And you're competing with younger women coming up that are more fresh, look better, and have less of a track record of just being insufferable. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That the gym is a place guys go. It's to unwind, to just get their bodies right, to relieve stress and whatever else. The gym is becoming annoying with these women. They come in early to the gyms now, leggings and selfies. I've seen women that look like about 300 pounds in there with selfie sticks, making videos for simps. I mean, it's hey, look, they don't even, this body positivity thing is crazy. I'm looking at, yo, you're like 400 pounds, wearing tights, spandex, making videos for thirsties on social media. That's disturbing. Well, because they are birds. You think about it like this, okay? If you go back to the 90s, there was categories for women. And women used to call women chicken heads back in the day. There was the respectable women that moved a certain way with a certain dignity. Okay? They separated themselves. Then there was the undesirables. Those were the women that were the 300 plus pounds and, or whatever else. And then there were the 304s, the low IQ, low frequency women that guys may consume on a Friday night at 11. There ain't nothing you'd be proud of walking around the daylight with, but the women themselves held the standard. And if they caught, like they say, a peaceful life, they caught me on a late night thirst quench, walking through the alleyways in my dark trench coat or something like that. They'll be like, a peaceful life? You're disgusting. I saw you consuming that chicken head last night. See, that was shame. I'd be like, it wasn't me. You know what I mean? So there was a standard that exists because they were just birds. But nowadays, with social media, they've gotten rid of shame. And there's no separation between women that are respectable, honorable, quality women and women that are, are birds. So now, I brought the term back from the 90s because it's a term that women even used back then. Because women used to shame men for consuming these birds. People forget that. Women used to be some of the biggest shamers if they caught you with a chicken head. They'll call you nasty. Women will tell you nasty. You nasty. Look at your peaceful life. Slept with that chicken head. You're like, yo. Needs drive behavior. You know what I mean? So that's what happened back in the day. That's gone now. With decades of body positivity, they got rid of the slut shaming. Now everybody is a wonderful, beautiful queen. Everybody's a baddie. We got rid of all kinds of things. So everybody walks around now with they've silenced men. They silence men on the job. Men can't say anything on the job. Men can't say anything out loud. Maybe call a misogynist. Say he hate women. Women can't say anything. They call them pick-me's. Man, you can't say anything as a woman. So you can't say anything as a woman. You can't say anything as a man without being hated on. So with that left, it's the rise of the chicken heads. Now the chicken heads got promoted to respectable women level. And women, you women allowed that. Because you shame. And now we live in this shameless world where there's no accountability for women. You allowed these chicken heads to rise. I blame the women. Because you wanted to get rid of shame. You wanted to silence men. You wanted to get rid of accountability. But there you got it. Now you created monsters. Now you have an epidemic. It's like those wild horde hogs that have terrorized the South in Texas and Georgia and all of those wild boars. Now these chicken heads are like those wild boars. Out of control. It's like that invasive species down in Florida, those pythons. These chicken heads are like that, out of control. You can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them they're not gorgeous. You can't tell them they don't deserve a man that's a 7-figure earner. You can't tell them nothing anymore. You've created monsters. And they're monsters now. I can't talk to them. They're big, old, bald-headed, hateful old man. Shut up. You know what I mean? You can't tell these old birds now. I'm seeing old birds, women my age, Gen X. That should be home playing with their grandbabies. They putting thirst trap on the internet now. It's like crazy, man. You say social media gave all the Acidic community of women to unleash their inner 304 and stand unified in normalizing the slut. Yeah, monsters. They've created monsters out here, man. And it's like, what can we do other than let these wild horses run free? You can't do anything about these monsters anymore. How? They're going, it's like that hog infestation down in Texas. Wild hogs everywhere, destroying millions of dollars in crop. The chicken heads are everywhere. They're on social media. They're everywhere globally. Chinese chicken heads, South Korean chicken heads, American chicken heads, African chicken heads. It's an epidemic of chicken heads everywhere. Everywhere I look, there's chicken heads everywhere. Eyelashes, women 50 years old with tarantula eyelashes. Women old with salt and pepper on their box, wearing spandex tights and putting thirst trap on the internet. They should be bouncing their grandbabies on their laps or something. Looking for a man. You got old Lisa Ray and them talking about, I want to provide. Man, what the hell? This chick's gone mad. Insanity. And that's what we have. This shit's out of control. You know? You can't tell them nothing. You'll curse you out. Call you all kinds of names. Yeah, like it's crazy. You guys like at the 9 to 5, you have female colleagues crazy. Yeah, like it's out of control, man. You can't tell them nothing. They call you, insecure. You just gotta. You don't go. Let me tell you something, man. I don't fight. I become like a surfer. I surf the river called delusion. And what I've learned is never go upriver against the current. It's best just to surf that shit out. Because you're going to give yourself an aneurysm trying to apply logic to a delusional creature, a selfish, narcissistic, self-serving, delusional creature. So when they say things, I just go, oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Hey, I'll see you later, okay? I'm about to get out of here. I don't argue against them. I don't push back against them. I may make certain videos on the channel, but when I'm outside here walking around during the daytime, nothing but kindness and smiles, because I already know you're not going to penetrate that brain. And anything that goes against the cultural programming or the norm is only going to cause an argument, a fight, a disagreement, and eventually name calling. And in many instances, as a man, you're not going to get them to do what you want them to do. The goal is to get them to do what you want them to do. You say, then make a long list of qualifications, always leads with financial power, yet, label all men exploring options overseas as sex. Of course. And that's just mind manipulation. You said looking fine there, Fridge. Yeah, that's the big girl, the big backs. Yeah, well, you know how that is, right? And again, we talk about all the time. Shame is the only weapon they have to try and control men. And you know that saying, no victim, no crime? No victim, no crime. So all they have is shame. Unless you're in violation of some law or some rule, they got shame. They send the jellyback Sims in to try and reinforce their shame. But shame is, we got dudes that come and try and shame. But at the end of the day, needs drive behavior. And no matter how you shame, it has no power if there's no incentive or you offer men nothing in exchange for their value. If you got nothing to offer me, I don't care what you say about me. You're not offering me anything, And he said, yeah, like, anytime you don't go along with their plan, you're a narcissist, you're a misogynist. Send me a middle line. Yeah, he's crazy, right? But again, B. Simone, the young lady, she's just another one that's trying to spin the block. You'll see her shaking her arm in the church in a little bit and looking for a husband. And there'll all be a bunch of chicken heads like her falling behind in the ceremony, whatever.
And then, of course, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, my feelings, and my opinion on this entire situation.
I want to apologize. I want to publicly apologize to the internet, to God, to anybody that I offended, anybody that I've hurt.
Hold on a second now. Hold on 1 second, okay? When somebody comes to the internet and says, I want to apologize to the internet, like...
Right.
Listen, internet, everybody on the internet, everybody come hear this. I want to apologize to the entire internet. You know that there is some kind of serious level of consequences or feedback that she has been getting that she feels the need to do so, right? Like literally the order in which somebody speaks tells you their thought process, right? She started with the internet before she apologized to God.
I want to publicly apologize to the internet, to God.
She wanted to make sure that she apologized to the internet first. Okay? That positioning absolutely matters to this equation.
With my words, maybe on the mic, or maybe my opinions, or maybe me saying something out of like a response or flesh instead of truly letting it marinate in the Holy Spirit and let him speak through me.
Okay, again, we're gonna pause right here for 1 second.
Which basically translates to look to Rebranding TV. I am not getting the outcome that I want. I'm older. These dudes is using me as a sperm receptacle. Nobody's marrying me. Nobody's taking me serious. I am just a pump and dump bucket. And I want a husband. That's what this translates into me. The money ain't the same. My image is tarnished. All that crap that I said about men, about shaming men for being 9 to 5 and work, shaming good, respectful, hardworking, honorable men, talking crap, a basic, average-looking woman, basic, talking trash to men about calling them inadequate, hardworking, blue-collar, hardworking men, talking about they're inadequate. We're not talking about no dusties or no bums, disrespecting hardworking men. And what she didn't understand is men understand the journey of men. So even if a guy is worth millions, his best friend can be the guy who works at the post office. And he knows, he grew up with that dude. That's his boy. And she disrespecting him. So now, even if she gets to be in those circles, he's like, this is the woman who disrespect my brothers. The hardworking blue-collar men, the 9 to 5 brothers. The rich man is thinking to himself, oh, you talking trash about my brothers, my hardworking, honest brothers. Don't come up this way because we know you a clown. Men respect men, regardless of economic status, if they're hardworking, honorable men. We're not women. So when a man sees you disrespecting good, solid, hardcore, hardworking, blue-collar men that are the backbone of society, that build the roads, that build, that take care of the ditches, that deliver the mail, that build the houses, men feel some type of way about that, even if they have a lot of money. And they look at you automatically as a trash woman. Like you have no values because you're disrespecting hardworking men. Women don't get that. And they don't understand that men will put them in a box as recreational use only. So she's feeling the blowback from that. Yeah, you're right about that, because that's where you're not getting outcome. Outcome matters. You see what I'm saying? Outcome matters. And when you out here and you don't get no outcome, things change, you know? So let's continue on. Salute to Rebranding TV, of course.
Okay, we're going to pause here for a second because, you know, she's saying, like, you know, if I offended anybody with my words, if I said the wrong thing, if I, you know, moved off of impulse or whatever, if I, you know, offended whoever the case is, I want to apologize for all of that, right? And people might be wondering, who are unfamiliar with the situation, like, you know, what would be the need that you would have to make such a strong standpoint of an apology for things that you've done. I mean, there's so many things. You know, B. Simone has offended the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. by her words on the internet.
What's more important, the fact that Martin Luther King is the man that fought for freedom, or the fact that he was cheating on his wife?
He's great in all these other aspects. How are you a great leader, a great CEO, a great Black man? You're not great. You're not great.
Then ironically, you know, because she is known as being chronically single, like everybody knows her for being a single woman who wants a man so bad and wants a relationship so bad.
I have my dream career. I manifested it. I'm trying to manifest a husband.
He then was on a podcast with Nick Cannon, and he was asking her about like what she's looking for, and she was like, "Oh no, I could never date a man with a 9-to-5." Offended people that way as well.
Can't have a 9-to-5.
What? Why not? You don't want to have an honest job?
I mean, he could be a hustling entrepreneur.
So you want him to be you want CEO status?
Yes.
Okay, he can't
So
like, he can't clock in and clock out.
No.
Damn,
I think
Simone.
entrepreneurs should date entrepreneurs.
The issue becomes the fact that, you know, not, you know, too long.
Well, but what she doesn't understand is that what she doesn't understand is this. When she having that conversation with Nick Cannon, but he's not saying it, Nick Cannon is absolutely disgusted with her. Because remember, the majority of these guys that she's talking to, they weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They had to develop their talent and work. Most men had to earn their value in life. They weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. No one gave them a pass because they were female or allowed them to expand, to become successful with having no talent. So they remember all the days that they used to work their ass off to become successful, which is why men have respect for other hardworking men. She doesn't understand that we connect in that way. And we're sensitive to what we would call disrespect. And especially women that are waiting at the end of the rainbow to benefit from a man's success. We see that as offensive. Like you just on some parasitic gold digging shit. And even if that's your mentality and mindset, when you vocalize that to men, they're like, man, look at you. Kick rocks. But that's what she doesn't understand. So let's continue on.
You don't want to have an honest job?
I mean, he could be a hustling entrepreneur.
So you want him to be you want CEO status?
Yes.
Okay, he can't
So
like, he can't clock in and clock out.
No.
Damn,
I think
Simone.
entrepreneurs should date entrepreneurs.
The issue becomes the fact that, you know, not, you know, too long after all of those things, B. Simone came to the internet crying because she could not shop in Bloomingdale's anymore and had to shop in H&M.
It's just my finances. Like the budgeting, you see how I am nitpicking every little thing. I've never been like that. We were in Bloomingdale's yesterday. I'm like, we have to go to H&M.
So a lot of people felt like, you know, it's like, okay, you're saying all of these things about men who you wouldn't date as if you're so, you know, above the conversation or as if you're so above everybody else or all these other men around you. When in actuality, it's like there's so many different, tax brackets of men who work 9-to-5 jobs, right?
Can't have a 9-to-5.
What? Why not? You don't want to have an honest job?
I mean, he could be a hustling entrepreneur.
You know, but having a kind of like, uppity, I'm better than thou, or, I'm above a certain level of men while still not being able to obtain a relationship at all. A lot of people didn't have empathy for her or sympathy for her within that situation. But it didn't stop there. Okay. B. Simone ended up, I don't know what was the tug or the need for a conversation to have, in this particular space. But she, went viral again for talking about if she would take $1 trillion or if she would sit down and have a conversation with Jesus.
Would you rather have $1 trillion or would you rather have 10 minutes with Jesus? I said I would rather have $1 trillion because I feel like God left his word. He left the Bible. There's nothing that he is going to tell me probably in those 10 minutes that isn't already in his word. And secondly, if you have a relationship with him, he can talk to you now. I truly believe the Holy Spirit is in me and he can talk to you. But Pharaoh's like, no, like I want to sit. You said you wanted to sit with Jesus, right? Yeah. Also, I feel like if I was really sitting face to face, excuse me, I'm stuttering because that's what I would do if I was face to face with Jesus. And I would waste my 10 minutes stuttering. Like, this is really crazy. Jesus is in front of me. So it's like, at this point, let me just go to my prayer room and pray. And I don't feel like there's going to be anything that Jesus would tell me in those 10 minutes that he hasn't left in his word. All right, what would y'all do? Would y'all take the trillion or would y'all do 10 minutes with Jesus? I am taking the trillion and I'm going to my prayer room. Final answer.
Now, listen, this is a preference kind of conversation. Obviously, again, too, whatever kind of religious beliefs you have, it's going to affect the way that you see the standpoint.
Boy, I tell you, fascinating, man. Man, it again, ultimately it's spinning the block. It's spinning the block. I mean, it comes down to just simply that equation. They're spinning the block. And we see this so often now with, you know, a lot of things that's going on with dating, relationship, with life in general, you know. It's and we saw it happen like they're loaded in the church. They're in there going to church. It's crazy. Like the church right now, it's like ground zero. They're loaded in the church. Let me get Big Simone out of there. But the church itself has become like ground zero. You know, it's crazy. Salute to Dating Right for this.
In the church. Girl, we about to find out. We about to find out. Like, we about to find out today. Like, the Inside Out Singles is about to tell us, the men's edition, they're about to give us the tease as to why men don't approach women in the church.
Attractive, Black, Christian women unmarried. That's the question that bothers me the most. It was not negative. It's a lot. I go into church and see so many straight up fine sisters.
We can survive without a man. We do. All the time, all over the country. For years, we can survive without sexual intimacy. We can survive. We can make it, all right? But we're not satisfied, okay? I'm not going to say happy because the word happy is not in the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran, so it can't be that important. They've made it important to us because we spend money for happiness, all right? And we think it's everybody pick out what they want to have happiness, all right? But as I said, peace is the number one thing that creates happiness and allows all of the other things to grow and happen. But we're very lonely because of our men being so discouraged right now, okay?
If you know how to slide into my DMs, but you can't slide into the presence of God, you ain't my type. If your prayer life is as inconsistent as your texting game, you ain't my type.
I'm tired of my prayers not reaching God because this thick lady over here in this Shein outfit messing up my prayers. I keep looking. Y'all be too thick to be in the house of the Lord like this. Wear a long skirt. I'm trying to get my prayers up to God, and y'all's, this is not what God wants for me. I'm trying to pray to God, and y'all so thick running by me in that offering table. I'll be like, tapping my homeboy, like, look, she's so thick. Oh my God. That's how I know my prayers ain't getting through. Some religions got it right when they put the women over there and the men over there.
Oh, man.
I get it. Because you can't concentrate on God in prayer when this lady smell good and thick. She ain't got no panties on. You in the middle of prayer. You done got chubby a little bit. Your meat done jump like, oh, I see you. I don't need to be like this in church, God. Father, I can't concentrate when it's a thick lady that smell good next to me. I don't even care what her face look like. If she thick, I'm looking.
So a little over a year ago, I ended a relationship and I was single again. And somebody told me these words. Next time you're dating again, wait on God's blessing. Wait on God to give you a way to that man. Of course, you're going to still be in a relationship with God, but it's different when you're married. He has to give away single you to a man. Okay?
So
you wait on God.
So basically, that next dude is going to get charged a premium. And what is he going to get that the other dude didn't get? Absolutely nothing. So I make my videos sometimes because I always think it's such a terrible scam that a lot of these young ladies are taxing the man that they wouldn't date in their youth, the high price of marriage and long-term relationship. And I was like, why not just get married when you're young? Because this religious backdoor is such a scam. This spin the block, use religion. The guys are onto it. And that's why a lot of guys, well, first of all, the guys that have so many options, the guys that are in the church they really have wives or girlfriends or just there really for spirituality. But rough. But they just go to church and jack up the price. And the guys aren't falling for it. And it is what it is, man. And they make videos like this, which exposes the truth about what their intentions are. So let's continue on. Let's see what else she has to say.
Just like your earthly father is gonna give you away at your wedding, your heavenly father, oh my God, it's gonna give you away.
God bless a lot of the Christian women out here because they are a faithful, hopeful community. A lot of these women do feel like all they got to do is just stay prayed up, doing the right thing, and eventually they will meet their husband.
Stop it. Stop it. Salute. What's up, my brother Larry? They are grifters. They're grifters. They're using the church to raise the price. Don't get me wrong. Now, this is not the old church of the past where that thundering Bible pastor will hit you, with the gospel and whatever else and be standard. The church today is a business of making money. They're grifters. They're just trying to religious gaslight some guy into signing the marriage contract. Nothing has changed about them. Because how do you know? You study their actions. Actions is the ultimate sign of change. Actions and behaviors. So it's just a way to raise the price. The price is marriage because they've mismanaged marriage in their youth. And they can always use the Bible against you. Because all of a sudden they've found virtues. And that means that, they're tired of getting ran through. I don't blame them. What woman with right sense want to be ran through? But it's the guy that they want to get that pays the ultimate price. Because now he's dealing with these women that have been imprinted by so many different women. It is a strategy, creative, but the problem is the men are onto it. He said, another agent of chaos. The men are onto it. That women don't understand how logical men are. You said, the pastor's begging, right? He said, funny how you will never hear a sermon on King Solomon's brother and their father, King David, concubine of his ex. So sounds too much like 2026. So the church is really like a therapy session. Affirmations. The pastor has gotten onto the game that you got to tell women what they want to hear, or they won't put any money in the donation bag. And the brothers are like, nah, I'd rather go to the gym on Sunday morning, work on my body, go back home, work on my money, and skip the religious grift over there at the church. Or the women out there gaslighting value, demanding men step up to the table and take responsibility and marry them and all these other stuff. So guys just avoid the church. It's just not. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. The women over there are on running game. And the grift is a grift. At the end of the day, religious grift is not going to change the fact that, the history, everything shows up in the history report. The history report tells you everything you need to know about that individual's actions, that individual's behaviors. Because you notice sometimes even these women who pontificate religion, or anybody, man or woman that pontificate religion, the moment you get them upset, the moment you get them angry, all of that religious stuff goes out the window, and you see the true nature of who they are as people. You piss people off. Two things reveal things about people. What they do, well, three: under pressure, stress, pressure, duress. What they do under anger. And what they do when they have power. Give somebody power, it only brings out the true character of who they are as an individual. If they're a rotten person, they're going to be rotten with power. They're going to be worse. And you find out a lot about it. So the critical thing now is that you're dealing with a situation where a lot of times too, the options that women have on the internet, they're not correlating with the options that they have in the real world. And when they go to the church, so you go to the internet, see, a guy taking a swipe through a DM on social media carries no risk. You can't say he said something when he typed the message that he said. You can't falsely accuse him of anything if he just got in your DM. And if you reject him on the internet, he doesn't give a rat's ass. There's a cold swipe. That's a cold swipe. You don't have to deal with being accused of anything, being whatever. He doesn't care. But when you get into like a public setting, a church, women can make up all kinds of things and create all kinds of things. Because really, in their mind, there's an archetype, we all do, men and women, of a type of man that they want. And a type of man that social media tells them that they qualify for and entitled to. And all of the Panda Bears, the Yattas, the Derrick Jacksons, the Matthew, whatever, with the white side or whatever, black side, the Panda Bears and the grifters and the are telling them that this is what you should have in life. And anything less is failure. So that's why you see so many guys like, I ain't going to no dating events. I ain't going to no churches. I ain't doing any of that nonsense. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go take seminars. I'm going to go focus on my business. I'm going to go doing all kinds of things because they understand that most of the times that these women, they really are interested in negotiating relationships on their terms. They want you to be with them on their terms. And they're looking for somebody to worship them, somebody to pedestalize them, somebody to do things for them. But try and ask them a question of what exactly am I getting out of this deal? And have a look in their face, in their eyes, and you see that they have a look of absolute disgust. What kind of man expect me to offer anything beyond pre-owned box. And that's really what it comes down to. Because they think it's an honor for you to get what's between their legs, the pre-owned that they already given to 20 men before you. And you should worship them and serve them and value them. And I'm like, well, that's only special to you, my dear. That's not special to the men out here. That's all you're going to get. So this is what's going on. So the church has become a therapy center, a remanufacturing center for mismanaged youth.
Now, I do believe that a lot of these women will find husbands in marriage one day, but let's be real, a lot of them won't.
I'm almost afraid to make this video because I know it's going to be some backlash. But I'm starting to believe that the church is keeping Black women single on purpose. I am starting to believe that the Black church is keeping Black women single. And what I mean by that is, I want to believe in my heart of hearts that when churches have Women's Day, have women's conferences, when you go to these women empowerment, conferences, and they are allowing people to be vulnerable and transparent, and they are sharing how they healed from certain things and how God's word helped them to heal, which is true. I'm trying to figure out why we are almost intentionally leaving out that God's word also says that a man is a woman's covering, and a husband is part of, or should be part of, an honorable, godly life. None of that is ever mentioned in a lot of these spaces. There are more women in the church than men. I don't have a problem with women being in leadership because that's needed today. But when I'm watching women that are in positions of power and in positions of leadership in the church, but I'm not hearing you talk about how important the family structure is and how important a covering is and how a woman is created to be a helpmeet and a neck and the man is supposed. When I don't hear those things talked about almost intentionally, is that because I want these women single? Am I the only one that is starting to feel this way?
Oh, there's a lot of truth in what she just said. I actually saw a post that said churches control the mother, the prisons control.
I mean, that's the easiest way to make money. Men ask too many questions. Men are going to want to know what's going on with the money. And if you get an emotional creature, especially one that is regretful about their past, regretful about the life that they have lived, sad about the outcome that they've had in their life, and if you give them affirmation, and if you give them validation, and if you give them a shoulder to cry on, they're going to put some money in those, offering plates. They're going to do it every Sunday. They're going to show up loyal. They're going to show up committed. They're going to show up ready to give, and as long as, that's why you see Derek Jackson, millions of subscribers. All the panda bears in the world have all the subscribers there is because they're giving them the emotional validation and therapy that circumvents accountability. And because accountability is very hard, that requires you to do self-reflection. And then that requires hard work. Hard work is what they're not interested in doing. If they just blame men, the men they choose, because doing the hard work, that's difficult. That requires real change. And a lot of people don't want to do that shit. A lot of women don't want to do that shit. Especially if they've been raised in an environment to believe that men are always the problem. They ain't trying to do all that work. So the pastor's got a system that's gold. It's going to be making money for a long time, man. They're not going to change anything. There's nothing. At my age, 51, there ain't nothing changing out here with dating, relationships, and marriage, probably in my lifetime. There ain't going to be any changes in the laws. And the laws are what matters. If these women really want to get married, go down there and talk to their congressmen, their senators, their state representatives about changing the marriage laws. You won't see not one of them show up. They'll never show up to that. Talk about changing the laws. They take the money out of marriages and stuff. They none of them showing up for that convention. They're like, hell with that. They keep the laws the way it is.
Control the father, and the schools control the children. You will not hear nothing in church about the family structure because they still want to present it to these black women like, oh, it's okay that you're single. You can go on being single and still be happy and live your life.
Man, that ain't making no money. You start talking about out of wedlock births and single motherhood and marry before you carry, you're going to end up homeless and broke. If I wanted to make really get into certain things, I would just create a Panda Bear channel. I'd just be out there shaming men for not dating single moms, for not dating big backs, telling men they're broke and dusty. That's how I'd make money. I'd be over here pandering my ass off. But I couldn't do it. I'd be vomiting after every show. You know, I'd be sick in the stomach, vomiting all over the place. I'd be like, I can't do this anymore. My soul is crushed. Because now I got to live with myself after I lied to all these women. Because I know they're set up for a life of... So I don't know how Derek Jackson and Yada them live. And the rest of these Panda Bears, I would literally be dying internally knowing that I've lied to these women and their outcome is going to be disastrous. They ain't going to get no husbands that they want. They're going to be suffering from poverty or economic hardship, you know, by being out here with this inflation out here, these problems out here. Can you imagine if you're a panda bear? You got to be like literally possessed with demonic spirits to be a panda bear out here. I mean, you literally have jacked up women's lives. You literally have destroyed women's lives. As a panda bear, they don't care. You got to be really heartless as a man because you know the truth. You know, what's up, brother? Salute to you, man. Yeah, man, brother, I haven't seen you in a while, man. Yeah, it's been a few, man. But you think about what a panda bear does, or a lying pastor, right? You basically destroyed a woman's life. You've literally robbed her of her youth. If you're a panda bear, you're robbing women of their youth. You're robbing women of the economic benefits of having a squared away man. You've literally sentenced them to a life of struggle, hardship, and poverty. And I'll talk about it too, like, you think about it. Hey guys, make sure you hit the like button. Ask yourself a question. What is the labor rate at a car dealership or at a good car repair shop per hour to get work done on a car? Some people are charging at the low end of $150, in certain areas 200 plus, just to get cars fixed, 200 plus. Imagine a woman, simple task, changing an alternator, changing hoses, changing belts, which I do myself many times, changing brake pads, changing simple things like a rotor, that they're charging people hourly rates with certain repairs of $20 plus an hour. Repairs to the house, replacing things at the house, replacing simple things, procedures that I replaced myself. Imagine women who can't do these things. Now they have no man. And that repair truck pulls up to the house. And we know what the average salary is in America, not this fantasy that we exist in. And the guy pulls away the truck, and that bill is $1,000. The bill is $2,000, $3,000 for some shit that just takes a guy like me 2 hours to fix. You're not gonna have any money. It's like poverty. That money is not being invested. That money is not being put, anywhere. He said, it's funny. Let me say, he said 6:45 West Coast got to get to the grocery store before some loser they cannot get cantankerous saboteur female in his life, shoots the store up, These fellas hold the line. Yeah, I mean, like, you think about the cost of living, man, and the cost of existence in this world. And the pastors don't care. The panda bears don't care. Some guy comes and he panders to women online. They watch his video for 15 minutes. They feel temporarily good, but in their life, they have no outcome. Their money don't look right. Shit not working right. Tires are chopped on the car. Oil is dirty. Shit ain't getting fixed. And you basically send them up for a life of struggle, suffering, hardships. And the dudes don't care. They don't care. They just lie to women all day long for money. Lie. On this channel, we don't pander to men. We'll tell a man right off the back, you goofy, dude. Yeah, you lazy. You're a bum. You need to get yourself together. Square yourself away, man. We talk about being squared away all the time on this channel. We don't pander to men. We kick rocks, dude. You gotta get yourself motivated, get yourself in gear, get yourself a skill, a trade, improve your competency as a man. So we don't pander to men. We hold the foot to the fire. But they exist in a world where they're pandered to all day long. And then they get too old and then they age out. And then you see them grifting online, trying to gaslight value, trying to convince men. You do some Lisa Ray shit. And that's the reality of what's happening today. And I see it often because that's what the society does. We live in a gynocracy. Women are very profitable. Lying to women makes a lot of money. Makes a lot of money, man. I'm telling you, it's a profitable. Yeah, exactly. But lying to women is very profitable. It's very, very profitable. Drive back the pastor. It's like a monopoly with these single women. It's very profitable. Women spend a tremendous amount of money. He said, just change the cluster on my Chevy and the heating and cooling knob myself. I save a lot of money working on my own things that I can do. And I have a great mechanic that's master. Yeah, exactly. And that's how we save a lot of money. We save a lot of money by doing a lot of things ourselves. And some of us keep our old cars. We don't have to. We can when you can fix things and you have the ability, you can drive your car for 200,000 miles, 250. It doesn't matter to you. It breaks, you fix it. You can drive your car for years. You don't have to get a car payment right away. You can operate old things when you were squared away and you can fix things. It doesn't really, I don't care. I drive an old car now. I don't care about that damn car. I mean, I care about it in terms of keeping it running properly. But if something breaks, I just fix it. Or something starts going bad, I just go, now I use quality parts. I drive a Toyota product. I'm just going to get a Denso part. Parts, it's a parts problem nowadays because you know how it is with these parts people. Some of that shit is crap. You put that crap in your car, you'll be doing that repair again in 3 months. So you just buy the good stuff. Saves you time, energy. But it racks up. So these women right now, what's not happening with them is they're not building a comfortable life in terms of investing, in terms of security. And they don't understand at some point you're going to age out. And men, even older men, have a vision of attraction in our mind. And we're attracted to youth even when we get old. The woman that ages with us in a relationship, many times men look at her different. Because like, I put that mileage on that woman because she had my baby, she's been with me from the beginning, as opposed to a new woman that we just met and that is aged already. The dude be looking at some old woman like, look, two old batteries can't start the car, baby. I'm sorry. Because we have a different perspective of a woman that hasn't aged with us than we would with a woman who grew old with us. And they don't understand that. You know, when they can shame us all day long, hit us with 10 scriptures upside the head. They don't care. Give me all the scriptures you want. It ain't gonna change nothing in my mind. You can scripture me up all day long. And I'm just looking at you like, yeah, great, wonderful. But that's not gonna inspire anything in me, you know, and that's the reality of it, you know. And we see them all the time. It's this new dance. This
about a man. No, they don't want to talk about nothing except for that building fund that those women need to keep adding to every month.
Oh, yeah.
They are not encouraging the family unit in these churches.
The church is keeping Christian women single, and this is why there are so many Christian single women at the church, literally single for years, not getting married, not getting any type of dates, not getting any type of attention. While they're serving at church, they're doing all the right things on paper. They might be in great physical shape. They might have their healing journey all, you know, through and through. They're doing the inner work. They're doing all that.
Hey, this physical shape thing, stop that. Knock it off. Ain't no great physical shape going on in the church. There's a few that are really good shape. Salute to those women, but nah, come on now. What do you consider good physical shape? Let's keep things in perspective now, but let's continue on. I get your drift.
They are focused. They are focused on Christ. They've been focused on Christ for years. They have been doing the things that people have been telling them to do for years, yet they're still single, have no candidates, have nobody looking in their direction. Let me tell you something. The church does not teach Christian women how to date. The church does not teach Christian women to date at all. What they tell us to do is to sit with our hands in our laps and to wait for a man to come at our door. That is not
true. The problem is this. What you have in the church is what I call the Christian feminists. These women have been raised and indoctrinated. Feminism first, government first. Don't listen to a man. Don't follow under the leadership of a man. There's a feminist version of the Bible that they follow. If you told these women, you understand that the man is the head of the wife, not just the head of the house, the head of the wife. Half of them will call you a misogynist and you to obey your husband. If you talk to these women about obeying their husband and the man is the head of the woman, the wife, half of them will call you all kinds of names until you get out of here, you old whatever. So they have a feminist version of the Bible that they follow, that they want to push upon men. And because they always talk about what men need to do, men's biblical duties, men's biblical responsibilities, the biblical standards that men have to listen to, have to adhere to. But when you talk about the biblical standards that they have to adhere to, then you get a whole different, then you hear the rebellion. So the pastor has gotten smart and he said, you know what? I need to preach the feminist gospel. So they're all at the church listening to the feminist gospel, which is the watered down version of the gospel. Now, there's certain pastors, like you get the Geno Jennings out here, they don't care. But everything in the conversation that the pastor is going to talk about is what you do if you're a clever pastor, is you keep the conversation centered on men's duty and men's responsibility. You make it a one-sided conversation about what men are responsible for, what men should be doing. You just keep hammering men every Sunday. Every Wednesday and Sunday, you keep the conversation on men and how men are failing, or what a real man is, and how a man of God is supposed to treat his wife. You know, how a man's supposed to treat his wife, What is men's duty to the house? What is men's duty to the church? What is man's duty to the community? And you keep it a one-sided conversation. If you're a good scammer pastor, and in that regard, what happens is you keep the focus and you keep the money going. And I saw a clip, which is funny. About the pastor asking to see the tax return. Where we at? Hold on one second. I gotta bring that up. Oh, I can't find it now. But I was gonna put it back up. But there was a pastor that was telling him, like, I gotta see these tax returns and shit. Yeah. Early morning, you get all these crazy ass calls, man. You know, it's crazy. Yep, I totally agree, man. CSM say that this country and the world is being ripped apart in so many ways, piece by piece. On Marco's level, it's quite something to see. Well, nothing that happens now, you know, history sometimes repeats itself over and over again. And I think, you know, there's certain things that are being done that are strategic and that are financially motivated. And money is usually the motivating factor. And once you understand the game of money, or certain powerful individuals around the world are going to protect that money and protect the flow of that money more than anything else. I always say, if you want the truth, follow the money. From the panda bears to the pastors to everybody else. When you start talking to me, the first thing I start saying, well, show me the money. Show me the money. That's all you got to follow is the money. The money will tell you the truth. That's why I can't be pump faked easily. I'll be like, what's in it? Show me the money. Let me audit the situation you're talking about. Let's talk about the money. Pastor, let's talk about the money. Woman, let's talk about the money. That's what I want to talk about. You know, so this is motivated by money. And the design is designed that way to extract the most money out of women possible. Everything, transgender stuff, money. Women go to church, money. Women are spenders. Women spend money. Panda bear content, money. You know, marriage nowadays, money. Dating relationships, money. Every day is money. He said, the money up at the top leads to dark places like the world leaders, 3 letters, organizations of the world. That's money. It's money and power. Money and power. Money. So this situation here with the pastors, look, what are you going to do? You got a whole bunch of women who've enjoyed sexual liberation. Many have become single moms. Many have mismanaged their youth. The church is building fund that new jet, that plane, that car needs money, needs sponsors. And if ain't nobody giving away any money, how the hell is this the lights gonna stay on in this building? And if you have a congregation that is mostly women, because any man with any sense then ran through the back door, and he's not trying to hold the bag. He's not trying to hold the bag for these women because he knows that their interest fundamentally is in money, because they've had many opportunities in their youth to lock down a man. So he ran through the back door. It's money. See, that's it. Pump fake me all day long. Okay, good. I ain't jumping. Show me the money. Where's the money? I put on, where's my audit glasses? I'll be like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but let's talk. You know, where's the peaceful life? There you go. Like, as soon as they start bullshitting me, I go into money. I was like, look, I hear what you're saying. Show me the money. Let's talk about the money. I put on my audit glasses. I go to the church, bring out the books. I don't want to hear nothing y'all talking about. Show me the damn money. Bring me the books. Women start talking to me. Let's start with your credit report. Let's start with your pounding history report. How many pounders have you had? Show me. I put on my glasses. What do you need from me? I know you ain't new to the block. Would you stop all this religious talk and let's have this pounding history report? Let's go. Show me the money. How much money you owe? What do you owe the car loan people? What do you owe these people? And let's check the odometer on that ass. Cut the bullshit out. You know. And that's what they don't like, guys like me making content. We cut through all the bullshit. You know, audit. Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to see. I mean, look. How much you owe the people with the student loan? How much you owe the student loan people? What do you got on them credit cards? You know, let's look through the books. Let's examine what this shit's gonna cost me. Because you ain't talking to me for free. You ain't talking to me for free. What's on the books? I want to know. I want to see the books. Bust that books out of the closet. That's why when you see these crime bosses go down, who they go looking for? The accountant. Yeah, like credit report, bank statement. Yeah, so I want to hear about her ambition. Yeah, all this bullshit they talking. You know, with that amount of people, many money people spending in the church alone, we would not need any other culture to help us at all. It's $1 billion. It's paid, man. Yeah, it's crazy. You say, guys, why put so much effort into vehicle Carfax, but Hofax gets to pass? Pretty much. I mean, at this point now, all they talk about is money. How much you need to be making, what you need to be doing for them. It's just money. The missing ingredient is your money. The missing ingredient is your money. Even if they make money, the missing ingredient is your money. Your money is our money. My money is my money. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to money. That's what it comes down to. Money. If it wasn't for money, they wouldn't be talking to you. What else is there? Certainly not looking for your leadership. They ain't gonna listen to you. They may listen to you for the first 2 years, 3 years, but they ain't trying to listen to your ass. Listen to who? You? What? Man, after they have signed that contract and they get settled in that life and you invested, they ain't listening to your ass. You crazy. I don't care how masculine you think you are. You're surrounded by a culture, by a society. You know, it's crazy. What's going on? Salute. What's going on, my brother? Hey, welcome to the chat, man. Yeah. Love, shit, money. You know, love. Remember when I did the love, right? I put, you know, where all the bachelors go. I need to put love on one of these boxes. You see that missing person box right there? Man, shit, love. What the hell is love? What is love? You know what love is in 2026? Money. Love in 2026 is cash. Love my ass. Man, you crazy. Love is when they were 21, 18 and shit. 2021 love, 2026 love is cash. That's all they talk about is money. Yeah. Exactly. They don't care what you make in the first year. How can you improve my life? And that's why dudes are like, hell no. So the church itself understands the business of money. And you got to tell women what they want to hear for them to give up the money. That's why I don't even get mad at the panda bears anymore. You know? Because if you don't tell them what they want to hear, they ain't going to give you no money. You be out here broke. You know, you be like, yo, nobody gave me no money. You out here telling the truth? You're a pastor telling the truth? Be crickets in that church. The offering plate be dry. You be looking at your offering plate like this. Golly, there ain't no money in here. The women, they down the street at Reverend Panda Bear's church. Let me go over there and see what Reverend Panda Bear is doing. He over there, he holy thou and catching the Holy Spirit, talking about what degenerates men are. He talk about how the men have failed women. And men need to do better. Impregnating these women, refusing to take responsibility for these kids, you bum, you derelict men. I rebuke you. And then all of a sudden, the money is flowing to those offering plates. Man, look at all these beautiful women in the congregation. These undeserving men. You know, that's how you got to preach. That's how you get your money. Could you imagine Pastor a Peaceful Life? Man, I'd be out there greased, ready to match. No, I wouldn't do that. I'd be making that money. You're not going to get no paid talking no truth. You're not making no money out here talking no truth. What do you think the sponsors say to me? When they send me an email asking, they're talking about sponsorship, they don't like my tone. They want me to change my tone. They want me to be nicer. They want me to be nicer so that they can sponsor my channel. We like you. We like your pedigree. We like you to be a little nicer, a peaceful life. Maybe you should take some words out of your conversation. Pounding, chicken heads, all these other things that I say that make me, well, you can articulate very well without using such horrible words. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said, Reverend Panda Bear isn't hearing their problems. He wants their money. Hell yeah, you got to lie to them. You know how it is. They can't. Yeah, you got to lie to them. Oh, yeah, I did that on my other live stream. I mean, she's unaware of why the men haven't showed up, but, you know, you're not making any money. Hey, guys, speaking of money, guys, hit the super chat, buy me a coffee, Cash App, whatever you want to do, support the channel. You know, before I become Reverend Peaceful Life Panda Bear. Support the channel before I become Reverend Peaceful Life Panda Bear. You see me out there with two big backs making my sermon. So hit the like, hit the Cash App, hit the super chats. You know, you don't see me pandering to women. I become the new pastor of something missionary church or something. And I might go, don't make me become the next Panda Bear pastor. You know what I mean? It's all good. It'd be like, I hear like, yo, what happened to a peaceful life? He became a pastor. You know, I have to go get me an old Cadillac or some shit. Walking around here, you know, telling these women what they want to hear. You know, doing that type of shit. Let me get that off the screen. There we go. Yeah, be Pastor Panda Bear. This shit. That should be weird, man. But them dudes, I mean, they figured out the game. These pastors figured out the game, though. I mean, that's what it is. You can only make money telling women what they want to hear. Then nowadays, I mean, you're not gonna sleep good at night. I mean, some guys can sleep good at night. They don't care. Because what are you going to tell them? You can't tell them nothing that their feelings disagree with. You can't tell women. You can tell them things. But as soon as you tell them that, they go to this thing right here, TikTok, Instagram, and they got a whole bunch of, imagine telling a woman something, and then they go to this, and there's 50 people that tells her that you're wrong. You wasted your time. Yeah, it ain't happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening at all. You can forget it. I mean, we won't make any money. If you told women the truth that get them real outcome, you won't make $1. You'll be like Kevin Samuels. They celebrate that man's death. You'll be like this. This will be a reality. You go around telling these women the truth. They've been celebrating your death. They ain't trying to hear that. They know the truth. They don't want to do it. Yeah. They've been celebrating you falling dead. Yeah, but they don't listen to him. Yeah. What they want to talk about is what you need to be doing for them. My brother, appreciate your support, man. That's what I'm talking about. You know, salute to you, my brother. Appreciate it, man. $20 super chat. You actually sponsored the stream. You know, I just came here to talk to the brothers, but I appreciate you supporting the channels, supporting independent content. And like I talked to the brothers, you know, one of the things happens when you start taking on commercials on your channel is you lose your objective ability to speak the way I speak. You know, because they want me to speak the way, they want me to be useful to the ladies. And I refuse to be a panda bear because now you're responsible. See, I have a sense of responsibility. When it comes to women, if you lie to them, you ruin their life. And to destroy a human's life for money is one of the greatest evils out there. To lie to women for money is evil. Because the guys that pander know the truth. They know these women ain't gonna never get no man they want with that type of thinking that they have. They won't tell them the truth because it's not gonna make them any money. And, you know, yeah, appreciate it, man. Again, appreciate your support, man. But again, like I said, and so that's why we live in this circular environment, right? My brother, salute to you. Appreciate you. $2 super chat supporting the channel. But I appreciate you, brother. But it's this circular environment that we exist in. If you tell women the truth, if you tell the truth, people don't like you. People want you to lie to them. And it becomes a circle of nowheres, you know. Yeah, they want to be lied to. Yes. But again, sometimes you got to give people what they need and not what they want. Now, if you're trying to make some money, he said, but don't they want to be lied to only if it makes them feel better or validate their feelings? Very true. They do want to be lied to. But the question is, what is the outcome that comes from that? You know what I'm saying? So let's say you tell them what they need to hear, so they keep paying you money. Well, the problem is that they keep producing more. The delusion replicates itself. It replicates itself over and over again. And the productivity goes down exponentially. So they become useless, fundamentally useless. We have a bunch of useless people. And sometimes the problem becomes is this, because we all have female family members. And many of their hardships can be passed along to you. And we don't need that. I don't need a peaceful life. Don't need a phone call in the middle of the night saying, look, I need somebody to help me do this and do that, because they don't have no man in their life. Now you done tax the peaceful life. I gotta go do the work now because that is a female relative and she don't got no man. And now she putting extra pressure on you. You see what I'm saying? So you end up paying the price for this delusion. Exactly. But they don't pay any money. But you know what I mean? It's true. I got you, brother. Yeah. But it's a process, it's a recycling thing, because now what happens is, you know, what are we going to do with all of these single women? No man. Have they invested the money? Have they the money they earned in their life? Or have they spent certain money and they haven't really figured out how to invest? What do you do with all of them? And you're going to have an epidemic of them, especially the way these dudes is moving nowadays, is you end up in a situation like that. You know, these dudes is turned up missing. And again, we have a situation where we have, you know, what's going on at the church is crazy. Hey, salute to you, my brother. Appreciate the support. He says, supporting independent content. My ex wanted to rush to marriage in 3 months. 11K wedding ring and some more. It shake my head. Man, to hell with that. You know what 11K can do? 11K wedding, man. In this economy, man, shit. 11K. You invest that shit right now. I'm going, what is the market? What, the market's open right now? 11K, what are we doing? We got a market right here. Let me see. Young Buck SWPPX is selling for $17.40 a share. Well, that's an index. That's a mutual fund there. You can buy that. SCHG, you can buy that. What's going on with QQQ? What the war going on in the Middle East? You know how many assets you can buy with 11K right now? Man, you can buy a lot of shit right now. With the war in the Middle East, this is a time for the young guys to back the truck up. When you see the stock market go red, like I tell my son, the days when the stock market drop 1,000 points and goes red, back the freaking truck up. Buy heavily. You're young. You're 25 years old. Back the damn truck up. You ain't got no kids. You ain't got no wife. You ain't got no girlfriend. Back the truck up. 11 grand. You imagine what that 11 grand will look like in 10 years. I'm looking at a whole bunch of shit right now you can buy with 11 grand. Right here. Let me show you. You see my phone? Oh, sorry, you can't see that light. Let me see. I'm looking at all the stuff you can buy with 11 grand. And damn sure will yield you better results than spending on women. Or spending on some wedding that nobody's going to remember in the years to come. Money grows. Money grows exponentially. And that's why I'm trying to get the young bucks to get their first 100 grand working for them while they're asleep. So it all returns over time, the money that's invested. Ceremonies and one-day events and, all these other things. You say, well, memory and man, nobody's going to care about that stuff. The substance of relationships is what matters the most in the distance. And that's why it's so critical to understand, about how money grows and how money works, how money builds over time, and what's going on in the economy right now, and how things are going to change with AI. With AI, you want to really be invested for residual income over time because you don't know how the job market is going to go, and you don't know how resources is going to, change with inflation. Because remember, people always forget that Kevin Walsh takes over the Fed in like May. There's war going on in Iran. Inflation is not checked. Housing pricing is not going down. So when you look at things from an economic perspective, investing money and having residual income, the value of an asset over time becomes more valuable than, than what you spend on things that, are worthless. Buying the asset now, buying the things, some people are looking at certain things with land, with property, with investments to hedge against inflation. Inflation is a huge problem, and like I said, there's a lot of price gouging. Even now you can't take your vehicle if you don't. Like women in general, like for instance, taking your car to the shop, you got to have one hell of an honest, reputable mechanic nowadays. Women take their cars to the dealership and they get hosed. Like if a woman takes a car to the dealership, she's going to get hosed. They're going to rob her ass. The dealership, if she takes her car to the dealership, oh, they're going to hurt her bad, especially women who buy these cars that are certain luxury brands and whatever else, because they don't really understand cars and understand that they're going to get cooked, and that's really a difficult situation because they're going to get really, really, it's bad. You're talking about a money grab out here, repairs, calling repair people, finding honest people to do work. It's a challenge. Honest mechanics, honest repairmen for HVAC stuff, and then doing preventative maintenance. A lot of women get caught because they don't do really good preventative maintenance, and that can end up costing thousands of dollars in repairs, because one thing that goes bad ruins something else, and that creates another problem. Instead of just replacing those brake pads when they were getting low, now you have brakes and rotors that need to be replaced. And that creates an additional cost and additional burdens, or changing certain things that are malfunctioning in a vehicle, understanding buying top tier gasoline with the symbol top tier on the pump, and we know certain stations sell top tier gasoline and how that affects an engine and breaks it down. There's all kinds of things that women don't think about that men think about. And it all costs them money over time, you know, and it's just what it is. It's fleecing, you know, but here they go.
Biblically wise. Faith without works is dead, and that applies to every area of our life. If you have a job and you lose that job, are you just going to sit and pray for God to send you a new job and then just stay at home and not apply for a single job? No. If you lose your job, you're going to pray, Lord, please bless me with another job. Of course, there's the faith. But then after that, you're going to go searching for a job. You're going to be applying for jobs, and you're going to pray that God will bless you with the right job. If all you're doing is sitting at home doing 1,000 prayers for your future spouse, you are fasting, you are praying, you're doing all these other things, but you're not actually putting any practical works into dating, more times than not, you are not going to find your spouse.
Those are the only dating talking points that they have for these women. They just tell these women to simply pray about a husband, wait for your husband to come. Oh, God is preparing you for your.
He said, I've been taking pictures and videos for over 20 years. I cannot count how many times people's hands I could use. These people would spend 25,000 plus, and I go to another wedding in 3 months. It's crazy, man. You know, just sacrificing their financial future over things that are, you know, many times, many of these marriages don't even last. Some of them last. Sometimes the marriages that people pay $100 for last longer than this crap. And that money can really be growing and growing and growing. Imagine if somebody took that 25,000 and bought Amazon in 1999. You bought Amazon, $25,000 worth of Amazon in 1999. Shit, you'd be living pretty, man. It would be one hell of a payout.
Husband, it's not your time yet, but soon will be your time. And this is the kind of stuff that they're telling them. Check this out.
Has it not occurred to you that maybe your no's and rejection are because God is trying to direct you to the person He has for you? Have you thought that maybe you're not in a relationship because you're not ready for one? Maybe it's taking longer because God is dealing with you and working out some things inside of you that He doesn't want you to carry into your marriage. God is saying, slow down, be still, and listen to my voice. Singles, your status does not mean you are not whole or incomplete. Your husband does not mean that you are whole or incomplete. When you seek the Lord, you are whole and complete.
But the truth is, you don't talk to anybody. You don't talk to men just because you're single. And they sold you this lie of, oh, it will just come. You need to stop worrying about that. Just serve the Lord. And if you get busy and you pretend like you don't want marriage, then it's going to come. We don't give this advice for anything else. If someone wants a higher paying job, no one says to be idle. They say, keep applying, position yourself in the job market, right? Until it happens. Even if you get rejected by one company, does that mean that
The church is contributing to women's singleness. And this is something that I'm very passionate about. So I'm going to share some things with you. When I say the church, I mean the body.
You're not finding look, any dude that's in the church that's hanging around there is married, has a girlfriend, or whatever else. Women want to find men. You got to find them at the gym. You got to find them out here just working, carrying on, find them in the park, walking, working on their fitness. The gym, the park, outside business and seminars and just going about their tasks. You're not going to find them in the church. They're married, they're in a relationship, they're Delson brothers that go to church, Tuesday, he and his family were going to go to a wedding in the South soon. He booked a Airbnb. Apparently the guy broke up with the girlfriend recently. Yeah, it's crazy. They waste money because their relationships are not built on substance. He was shocked and barely got the reservation canceled. in the night before payment. He said he thought this was something that only happened in, no, it's happening crazy because the foundation, remember, the foundation of many of these situations is just weak, just poor, because it's based on a fantasy that they see on social media or desire. Again, that's what they're fed and that's what they're taught all the time. But these churches themselves, they don't deal with the core attitude because, again, if you look at the culture itself, everything talks about women. See, they get in the church about what men's supposed to be doing, what they're not getting, and how it's not them. It's just that they're, they got to wait and position themselves for the right man to come in, but it's not them. It's the man that needs to, they don't talk about anything about them getting better. Male psychology, understanding how to take care of a man, how to keep a happy home, what men need in a relationship, how to maintain a relationship with a man, domestic skills, cooking skills, emotional skills, men's needs, men's desires, male psychology. They don't connect with any of this. They think that the only thing they have to bring into the relationship is box, vagina. That's all they think. I have box. I give him access to my box. That's it. They're not thinking about male psychology and whatever. That's why you see women that take part in all these humiliation rituals. They don't understand some of the times that they're being absolutely disrespectful. So, because the humiliation rituals is normal for them. They think that any man that has a problem with it is insecure. Because they believe that men are just these objects to be punished and they must man up and accept it. And when men push back, it's like what did I do wrong? And because they have nothing, they've not been raised to be wives or to understand male psychology, men's needs, and how to deal with a man or keep a man in a relationship. They really don't. They don't understand it, and most of them who do understand it don't care.
Of Christ in the building. This does not mean the entirety of all church people, all church folks, all Christians. There's a small percentage of believers in churches that actually contribute to helping women learn how to date, to actually pushing people together for kingdom marriages, and etc. When I say this, I'm not addressing those people whatsoever because they're actually doing what they should be doing to help kingdom marriages come together. But for the other large percentage, we are being told as women to just wait and sit and serve and wait and sit and serve. The reason I'm upset about it is because there are women that are doing exactly that, waiting, sitting, and serving for years, some 10 years, some 12 years, some even longer than that. But because all they've been taught is to wait and sit and serve and to never actually try to do anything on the dating market, they're watching people pass them by, getting married left and right, praying all the prayers, doing all the right things on paper, and quite literally losing hope. It hurts me to see a woman wait for years and years and years and years and years, getting so discouraged, and then finally giving.
Now, even with her, the conversation is disingenuous because in this conversation, she's talking about women waiting for marriage, but nothing in this conversation is talk about, are these women qualified for marriage? So she assumes by just them being women and just them having a female sex organs and just them maybe being good workers or maybe decent people, what are the qualifications do these women have for marriage? We qualify men all day long. Nothing in her conversation is about, are these quality women, are they qualified for marriage? Or have they been trained to be wives? You see that? Nothing, she doesn't say anything about their qualifications. She doesn't say anything about their training. She doesn't say anything about their upbringing. If they were raised by feminist older women or women that taught them only what men are supposed to do for them, they themselves, even though they're in the church, they don't have the skill set to deal with male psychology, to deal with men's needs, to deal with men and understand men on a psychological and emotional level, because they've only been trained one-sided training, which is what they deserve and what men should be doing for them. So by default, they think that they're qualified to be wives, which is a fundamentally flawed conversation. If you think about it, what is it about you that makes you a wife? Or can you coexist with a man and live and create or build a happy home? Because nothing she's talking about, you haven't heard her say anything about men and what men need. All she's talking about is everything that women, you know. He said, I'm retired from government, have a pass, but most of these women are really good for car dates and swing club. Basically. So they're in church, they're praying, but they have no skills. They have no skills to keep a man. They have none. Commitment in marriage with men is like a parachute in the plane. If you knew it had 50% deployment with the 70-90%, the parachute would randomly self-eject, do something bad first, who's jumping out? Yeah, I mean, but none of these women are talking about skill sets. Skill sets, male psychology, understanding men. What do men need? Me, I, me, I. What are men supposed to be doing? It is the most strangest, craziest reality. I mean, just
Up on the idea of ever getting married, all because they've been taught wrong. I think a large percentage of the women of God that actually do desire marriage could be married right now if they actually knew the practical steps according to dating. People are saying that it's not the church's job to teach us, but it is, because if we're not learning this from the body of Christ, we're going to learn it from the world. And you can't say it's not the church's job to teach us, but then tell us that we need to be single.
What did your mom, no, what did your mama teach you? What did your grandma teach you? Forget the church. What did your mama teach you? What did your auntie teach you? What did your grandma teach you? Didn't they have men? Weren't they able to keep men? Why, you say, or check out the divorce attorney. Yeah, Sexton. He's a beast on how it is not fair for men. It isn't. But shouldn't your mommy have taught them how to be a wife? How to keep a man? They go, well, men are not supposed to be kept. No, you need skills. If a man said that he doesn't need skills to understand women, I tell him he's crazy. So a woman needs skills to understand. If a man doesn't say he doesn't need to understand female psychology, I say you're crazy. Well, women need to understand male psychology the same way men have to understand female psychology. And men have to take care of female needs the way how females have to take care of male needs, or there's no relationship. But these women have no clue about any of that stuff. It's like they're incompetent.
Single and wait. It doesn't make sense.
The Black church's focus is not on building families. It's about keeping women single, comfortable, independent. I said what I said. Just look at the numbers. The church is 70 to 80% single women. And the pastor want to sell these women this fairy tale, telling them that your Boaz is coming. Keep waiting, knowing good and well that there isn't any single men in the congregation. And that's low-key manipulation, because the men aren't flocking to the churches because the churches are catered to women. The sermons shame men and pamper women. The programs be women brunches, women conferences, women's night. The churches know who paid the tithes. It's the women. So they selling the women these dreams while cashing their checks. You gotta ask yourself, if the church is really about family, why is it full of single mothers, single women, and empty of men? Because the Black church needs the women single, desperate, and waiting. Because if you had the family that you prayed for, then they wouldn't be able to.
Part one, starting off. When I say the church, I mean the body of.
She gets the gold medal. She gets the champion trophy for figuring out the game. Very smart young lady. Young lady, you're very intelligent. She gets 5-star reviews for figuring out the scam. That is having real understanding. You understand the scam, you understand the hustle. She nailed it. She nailed it. It's a grift. You figured it out, young lady. It's a hustle. It's a grift. Yeah.
You gotta ask yourself, if the church is really about family, why is it full of single mothers, single women, and empty of men? Because the black church needs the women single, desperate, and waiting. Because if you had the family that you prayed for, then they wouldn't be able to care.
Part one, starting off. When I say the church, I mean the body of Christ and the building, okay? It is not one or the other, it's both, because both contribute to this conversation. You go to church, 9 times out of 10, people are just saying, just wait, just wait, just wait. As long as you're serving in your purpose, you go to church, you go home, you go to church, you go home, eventually your man is gonna run into you. That's not true. You cannot be found if you are in hiding. And you just staying on the same rotation path every single day. You've been going to the same church for 5 years. You know everybody in that building. This is not going to get you found. Just because it worked for one person that you heard a story from one time does not mean that this is going to be your story. Secondly, y'all are saying it's not the church's responsibility to teach us how to date. I'd like to argue that it actually kind of is. If we're not listening to our brothers and sisters in Christ on how to date, we're going to be learning it from the world. We both know how that would go. So yeah, we do need to learn this from the kingdom. People are saying that dating is not biblical. I disagree, because the only way to get married is to date. You're not going to go up to the married couple at church and tell them that their dating season was unbiblical. But why are we telling this to singles? Courting and dating is the same thing. We always try to bring this up and make it an argument, but it's not. Y'all only know dating from the world's perspective, and that's why you think that dating is bad. If you actually know how to date as a kingdom woman, you have boundaries and standards and preferences and whatnot, you're not going to be dating like the world.
Yes, that's very true. A lot of these Baptist Christian churches, they pretty much are teaching feminism up in there. They pretty much are teaching women to stay to themselves, don't date, no sex before marriage, practice celibacy. They having these worship services, hypnotizing these women, selling them fairy tales that, a man just gonna magically appear to their door one day. They don't have to leave their house. They don't have to go out. No, God is preparing a man for you, and you don't have to do anything. You just got to sit back and get ready for that man to show up. He will eventually show up. These women grow old to 60, 70 years old, ain't found a man yet.
So I saw a video of a woman, and she said that the church is keeping Black women single. And I just want to put in my 3 cents, because I watched the entirety of the video, and I actually agree with what she's saying in the video. I just don't agree with her blaming the church. The church is not trying to keep Black women single. Society is. And what's happening is too much of the world is being allowed in the church. It's not the church, it's the world. But the world is currently dominating the church. And when I say that, what I mean is that the devil is running rampant, and we are living in a time where so many things are being normalized that the structure of the church is being weakened to allow spiritual warfare. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. I'll say it because I said it before, and I'll say it again. The Jezebel spirit is running rampant in this generation. I am 24 years old. The amount of women that no longer want to get married, no longer want to have children, want to be the head of household, don't want to submit to anyone, the numbers are astronomical. And the proof is even in that woman's comments, because we have women creating this ideology of decentering men when the center should be God to begin with. And if you omit the Black man from the Black...
No, the center should be your man. The center should be your man. God speaks through your man. The man is the head of the woman if you're religious. The center should be your man. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's really what it comes down to. But again, they're still sidestepping men. The man is your leader. If you're into religious stuff, but fundamentally that's not what's happening out here today. And it still goes back to relationships on many of their terms. And unfortunately, that's not working out very good. But again, there's plenty of men, even without the church or without any of this stuff, that they have access to men on social media. They have access to men on dating apps. They have access to men just walking around every day. The question is that, what do you think you qualify for? That's the question. If you're an average woman and you think that you qualify for a man, you're looking for a man 5 times above your level, it doesn't matter what the church or anybody else says. If you think that the average man is not good enough for you, if the average man is not good enough for the average woman, does it matter what the church says? It doesn't matter, you know. Depends too, because Africa has caught the bug of Western society. You may find some women in more East Africa, in certain, it's probably, there's a lot of feminism that is spread, you know, but yeah, they're called pimps in the pulpit because the so-called pastor banging the women in the church. And this has been going on for years. Fruity Pebbles is the choir director. Come on, man. Low FICO score, right? Very true. But again, nothing in these conversations is going to get any outcome, because if you're delusional, because this device tells them that they're goddesses and baddies, and every man that looks at them is ugly and hideous, what does it matter? We'll just have a whole bunch of average women walking around, going to church, doing things that think that average men are hideous. So it doesn't matter with the church. They're just not going to take those deals until they're last burnt out. Yeah, but even at that point, you know, around 30, but even at that point, you know, the question becomes, is it an act of a genuine desire to want to be with a person and share a life, or is it just like, all right, I'm getting old, I'm getting close to geriatric pregnancy, and we're down in the last round of the draft, and I gotta pick something that can financially offer a lifestyle that's acceptable and respectable, but is it out of just any type of genuine desire to be with that man or to be in a relationship with that man, you know, or to have that man is just like, okay, I'm gonna be with this guy, he's good enough, I will allow him to have sex with me and pay all my bills, but as soon as that honeymoon or that phase is gone and the relationship goes on, if that's not the man they have any desire for, if the guy ends up in a sexless marriage, or he ends up in a situation where the woman becomes extremely disrespectful, because we like who we like. We like who we like. And it ends up being a bad situation. You know what I mean? And you're right. You know, it is what it is. And a lot of decisions are made based upon that. And a lot of guys end up in bad situations with women, because the culture is going to hold that man's foot to the fire regardless. And, you know, he may be in a situation where he's has a woman in his life that he was her last choice. And there's no greater torture than that, you know? And that's what happens inevitably. What's up, Yoga? Lord Yoga, salute to you. So you have to make a situation. And I see why the difference between, like, even what this brother says, in certain environments overseas, if you pick correctly, how a man is treated is defined by culture. Nowadays, you know, well, that's sad, man. That's really sad. And I'm sorry to hear that, man. Condolences. And in certain environments, how men are treated is defined by culture. In this environment now, we live in, especially in the Black community, is a matriarchal culture. America is a gynocracy, and the Black community is a matriarchy. So the way how they view men is subservient to them, subservient, lesser than. So these women were already raised with the mindset, the mentality that men, they're here and men are here only as servants, because the culture is a matriarchal culture. So the matriarchal culture is easy for churches and panda bears and whatever else, because they're preaching worship upward. As opposed in a patriarchal environment where women work in you know, they look up to men. They look up to the men in their lives, as opposed to women in a matriarchal culture that look down on men and only see men as servitudes that are undeserving of good treatment, respect, and don't want to take care of the men that take care of them. You know, they don't want to take care of the men who take care of them. You know, patriarchy is the only functional way to maintain quality. And because patriarchy controls quality standards, dudes just can't come in and date some man's daughter without qualifying. A matriarchy just looks at female worship. So even though these women are saying certain things, ultimately they want to be in a situation where women at the top and men here worshiping them, as opposed to being really under the leadership of men. Because all of the women here, including the women that's talking right now, it's not a problem for them to find men. It's just that they think that they're better than the men they qualify for. They think that they're 10 times better than the men that they qualify for. Even the woman that's talking right now. There's guys that probably wants to be with her, but she probably thinks if she's single, she probably thinks that she's better than the average man that she qualifies for. Or they're waiting to the end of the rainbow to only pick the finished product. They only look at the finished product. That guy, when he's got one more year left in college, finishing up his engineering degree, it's a time period to get him. Don't get him 10 years later when he's a manager at Boeing. Get him when he's that engineering student in college. How about that? But he don't got no money. He broke. All of his money is going to the meal plan or just trying to survive. He's probably doing, Uber Eats to make some extra money, but he's an engineering student in college. He's broke. They don't want that guy. Not all of them. There's some that do. They want the guy that's the finished product. That's where they fail. Because that guy remembers back then when he was broke and his meal plan was running low and all he had is 20 bucks in his pocket on the weekend to get some Chinese food. And he remembers that when he becomes that successful engineer. And that's what's happening now. So now that guy is 33 and he's established himself in his profession, his career, he's making a certain amount of money. And now these women are spinning the block after having experienced 20 men and coming back to him and say, look, I am this celibate, virtuous, spiritual woman, and I want to be married and build a life with me. That's the problem fundamentally. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But that's not happening. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a situation where you're looking for the finished product and you're looking for money, but you don't understand what it took for that man to get his degree, to get his certificate, to get his certification, to build his competency. He had to work so hard to build himself up. And now you're telling him that I want to just come in now. When you were 22, busting your ass, I didn't care. I just want the finished product and the lifestyle that comes from the finished product. You know, and you're right. That's what they want. So realistically, no one's teaching them how to pick a winner when he's broke. That's what women need to learn. How do you pick a winner when he's broke? When he's young and broke. Pick a winner when he's young and broke before your box becomes blown out. When your box is young and tight and fresh, unspoiled, pick yourself a young winner pick yourself a young winner and bond yourself to him for eternity. That's how you build a life. You don't come when you're 30, go to the church after you have experienced multiple men and try to gaslight value. You can get an education, you can get a career, and you can get a husband at the same time when you're young. But they don't want to listen to that shit. They want to come and they want to diss that guy because he's a broke finance student, because he's a broke engineering student, because he's over there at XYZ Technical Institute, and he doesn't have his certification yet. You broke and dusty, your old car. You want the finished product. It takes time for men to work and build. You can build equity with men. Women don't understand is you can build equity with men. We men on this channel, and even Brother Facts, the uncomfortable truth, will tell you, we remember good deeds. If I'm broken down in the middle of the street right now, and some guy stops and helps me jumpstart my car or whatever else, that dude's picture of him is etched into my brain. You did me a solid. You've just built equity with a man. And that man is going to remember you when you down, and he's going to return. Women can build equity with a man. A man remembers when he was broke and in school, and that woman who shared her meal card with him, she came and said, look, I know you don't have any money this week. You can eat off of my meal card. That dude remembers that shit. That's how you build equity with men. You don't build equity with men when he's finally succeeded and is successful, and then you come to him and say, hey, I see what you got. You a high value man. Oh yeah, you marry me and get with me and we can build a life together. That's not when you build equity with men. You build equity with men when you're young and fresh and he's young and climbing and achieving. but he maybe broke right now, but he's a hell of a squared away. He's squared away. You see, men understand men squared away, but they want to come and they want to build equity. They want to come and collect. That's what the smart women do. The smart women be like, they get with men when they're in college, and he dude's an engineering student, he broke, and he got $100 left on his meal plan, and she got $1,500 on her meal plan. And she be like, I got you. I help you out, man. And that's the dude who she ended up with, married or long-term relationship with. Because she built from the ground with that dude. Then now she's 45, 50, and she get to retire. She raised them kids with him, and she get to retire. And that guy looks at her and remembers her. And that's what women don't understand. But now, they rather, when they're young, chase the guy on the basketball team, the football team. Chase the dude that's driving an expensive car that, or has money to push, a scammer or hustler or whatever, have money to spend on them. Money. And then they get older. It's crazy. Yeah, absolutely. And do it before you get blown out. Because any man likes to walk around with pride. The feeling that you got something that everybody hasn't ran through. It brings great pride to a man. But now they trying to rebrand this whole blown out box and gaslight value and all these other shit. So they still not saying the right thing.
Black household, the Black community dies. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Something that I learned, I was probably like 13 years old. I was at this conference. Why I was there, I don't know. Shout out to my grandma. And this woman, she said something and it stuck with me. She said, if you want to know if something is wrong, ask yourself, if everyone was to do it, would humanity still be able to go on? So I'm going to ask you a question. If every Black woman decided that a Black man wasn't needed, that children were not needed, that family were not needed, what would happen? Now, this is not for me to say that everyone has to be married and everyone has to have children. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that the numbers, the way that it's going, it's like, okay, if you have a call to abstinence over your life, cool. Celibacy, whatever the case may be, if you're meant to be alone, there's nothing wrong with that. But the same women who don't want a man in the house wants a man in their bed.
Now, that's a very interesting angle she's bringing to this conversation, too. Could it possibly be the too much of the world is being allowed into the church? I guess she's meaning that a lot of the church leaders are compromising just so they can get more members in the church. A lot of these churches are not actually standing on traditional Christian standards or values. They just trying to fill up the seats. And of course, they're just trying to fill up the seats.
I hate when I'm talking to a woman and then I find out she's a Christian. And it's really tough because I love Black women. But Black women, especially in America, tend to be Christian. And it's just like, fuck, man. Like, I can't get away from this shit, man. I can't get away from this fucking shit, bro. And I used to be like way more open-minded when it came to like dating a Christian woman, but as time has gone by, I realized it's not something I want because I hate to have serious conversations and then God gets brought up and then it just feels like, ugh, none of this even matters what you're saying now. Like,
I'm a little frustrated with God. I am now, we're just all coming off of watching Forever, right? I'm 24, very much a late bloomer. I've never experienced a relationship. Definitely have had the desires to. And I think as I've gotten older, as I've gotten more spiritually mature, there are three things that I have been wanting and looking for. Number one, to be chosen. And when I say to be chosen, I mean romantically chosen. I've been the girl who, a guy will say he likes me, but because I'm not doing this, that, and the third, he go date my friend.
All right, let's just cut to the bullshit. Young lady, you're out of shape. You see how truth works? You're out of shape. Period. It's really that simple. You're out of shape, which reduces the options you have in men. Secondly, you haven't really been taught how to attract, be with, live with, or deal with a man. But no one is going to tell him that. You know? He said in 35 plus. He's 35 plus, right? And crazy as shit, right? And nobody's gonna tell him the truth, man. It's tough out here, man, in these streets. Let me get these shit off of here, man. Let me remove this from the stream. You got a point. That wall has come it, right? Yeah, like nobody they're not trying to look out, like what the hell, you know? You can't correct this stuff. Like, outside of an apocalyptic reset, like you need to have like a apocalyptic reset. Like you'd have to have like, you say, that's it. All right, man. You shook my spirit with that one. That's how it was in my family. Like you need like there has to be like an apocalyptic reset, you know? Like I think it's the disconnect with reality. It's a disconnect with reality. There's so many voices. There's so many voices today. That truth. What is truth today in 2026? With social media, with the way things are. And I guess the economic factors out here. The economic factors are putting a lot of pressure on women. The government divorced them. Dudes is checking out, don't want to be in the church, don't want to sign on for what's being offered as value in relationship. The guys don't want to sign on to what's being offered as value in relationship. But the economic situation is not, inflation is here. A lot of things is going crazy. The geopolitical situation is crazy right now. So there's a lot of concerns, there's a lot of worries, there's a lot of panic, there's a lot of fear. And it's crazy to think that there's nobody really having a rational, logical conversation about why the men don't want to be bothered. Why does these men don't want to be bothered? And I think what they don't understand is if you haven't been taught how to bring this feminine inspiration and add value to a man's life, now you become irritation and a load. And nobody wants to sign up for that. Or how to get along with men, how to treat a man. If you grew up in matriarchal culture, where all you've been taught all your life is how men's supposed to worship you or how to treat you, you don't care or you don't think in terms that men should get some reciprocation. And that's the fundamental problem that we see. And that's creating a lot of undesirability out here. Because the center and the culture and everything else talks about what men and what men are not doing. You when you look at and listen to the Scott Galloways and all these other people of the world, it's all a conversation about what men need to be doing better, how men need to be better, what men need to be offering, how men need to be better to give them better, but nothing about what they need to be. And that's where the fundamental disconnect is that we're having these circular conversations to nowhere. And the circular conversations to nowhere is not yielding any outcome or any results. You have guys that have skipped the country, guys that are going passport, guys that are just saying, you know what, screw this shit. And it's hard for me, even as a content creator, as a man, as a father, to encourage any young men to take these bad deals, to be with a creature that was raised to be an absolute, complete, and utter narcissist. How do you know? Because that's all they talk about is them. All they talk about all day long is them. What they're entitled to, what they deserve. Me, 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 me. Why you should be so grateful to want to be with me. That's all they talk about all day long. What they desire, what they deserve, how much money you need to be making. And I think that within itself is just like, what the hell? You know? And it's crazy, man. It's crazy how that life or that culture and mindset of building families, building life, building whatever. And I guess the content is not helping at all with any of this, to be honest with you. Because you look at the content that's coming out, it's like, whoa, you know, it's interesting, it's fascinating. So the deals that they're saying that dudes should sign up for, like, what the hell? Because even when I go down the screen, like, what? Oh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So a lot of guys just don't want to tie themselves to this. It's like a one-sided situation. They're like, I ain't signing up for that crap, man. So it is what it is, man. But anyhow, we're getting close to the 3-hour mark. I didn't expect to be in here for 3 hours this morning. But we're going to get some many more questions you guys have for the channel. Appreciate all the new subscribers that come on. What are the questions you have? You know, I just want to make myself physically and visually available live to have a conversation, you know. And I noticed too, like, there's a lot of women that come to the channels and leave comments, you know, and even in the comments themselves, there's a lot of delusions, you know, or what I call it is a lot of times they project a lot of things, like if we don't do a certain things that they want, we're not going to get them to be with us. As if that, it's like, when I see women in the comment section, it's been like somebody denying you a job that you didn't apply for. It's like there's a job opening for somebody to walk around all day and pick up dog poop with their hand, and we're going to deny you that job. They're like, well, I didn't apply for that job. You can go pick up poop on your own. But that's what they're doing with the men. They're denying them jobs that they ain't applying for. And they were like, well, peaceful life. If you guys don't marry us, you won't have sex. Well, okay. I guess we won't be having sex with you. But I'm sure there'll be other legs opening somewhere else. There'll be other openings somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, they'll come in here like, I always hear, like, always like the comments that some women make is like, are you commenting like you're the only vagina in America? I call it the only vagina comments. The idea that you're the only woman that can have sex with men in America or something. And it's the comments that are being made. I'm like, man, I guess you're the last woman on the planet. You know what I mean? I always find that fascinating and interesting, you know, because it just as just from an observation perspective, that's really what they, you know, it's like they're talking like they're the only woman on the planet that can offer sex to men. You're like, that's it? That's what you were holding as your leverage? That's your leverage. It's even fascinating to me. Older women, and to get the relationship that they think they want, the leverage they're using is pre-owned. When the market is, the streets is flooded with pre-owned. You know? I mean, I don't disagree with them. I'm like, okay, if that's your leverage, good for you. But will you get the outcome that you want? You probably get a jelly back, but you don't like simps, jellyback simps. And if your leverage is only pre-owned, the only person you could muscle is a man that doesn't have options. The man that you don't want is the only one that you could control by withholding access to your body. And that's the guy you don't want. So what is the power of that if it doesn't get you the man that you want? So you obviously have to have other values and other skills. And if you don't have that, then you just become ordinary. Or just, well, there's billions of women that can provide that service to men. So there's nothing unique about you if you haven't connected with a man on an emotional, spiritual level, or you have not earned equity with a man. You haven't built or earned equity with a man. And your only leverage is pre-owned. So you have no leverage, you have no equity with a man, and you're only using pre-owned as your Hail Mary. And many of it's old. And you're trying to leverage that to get a value that is extremely expensive, which is long-term commitment, relationship, and marriage, in a marketplace that is flooded with sex. Sex is being sold everywhere. Prostitution is everywhere. The conversation is prostitution. The conversation is transactional completely. The conversation is about getting value at the end of the rainbow. The conversation is not about building equity with men. The conversation is about me, I, in an environment that's flooded with a lot of women that will give men sex outside of marriage. So the leverage is gone. And then we end up with a situation like this, where the guys is like, I think I'll take a pass. Because why would the guy who worked hard to build a life for himself just focused on being a sponsor? And I think that's what the ultimate thing becomes, but that's what becomes a problem out here today. And a lot of situations don't evolve. Relationships, it becomes a thing that's, guys and I can do without it because it offers tremendous amount of responsibilities without any benefit, which is a critical point because, again, the men that they want respond to incentives. And if there's no incentive, well, what's the point of it? If somebody says to a man, you can get in a relationship with me, but you have to take on all of these traditional responsibilities, extra expenses, and extra added stress and drama or conversations or whatever. The only thing your reward is only pre-owned. Could you imagine that? Who would take that deal? If you have to give up your autonomy, you have to give up your finances, you have to give up your resources, you have to become somebody's emotional tampon, and the reward at the end of that rainbow is just pre-owned. That's not a good deal that men are going to sign up for, the men that they want. And that's what they're having the blowback for, because they have men, but not the men that they want, because it takes a level of skill, a level of desirability, and a level of talent to stay in a relationship long term with a man that is desirable, or a man that they want. You can't just be there and serve him the same mediocrity that you would serve to a simp. And that's where the problem is that they cannot compete and offer value because they were not raised to understand male psychology or understand men, and what men need or what men desire in relationship. The church, they keep referring to the church. But what about your mama, your grandma? What about what you observed growing up? Why haven't you been taught these skills or these talents or all these things from your family? Why is all this pressure being put on the church? The church itself would be the safeguard for community, because I think what happens inevitably is that community and family and whatever else, where people usually met before all this technology, social media, before social media took over, that idea of meeting people in the local community, at your church and everywhere else, is very difficult in that environment, especially when somebody automatically, because of delusion, think that they're 10 times better than the person that's in front of them. Or somebody who's not raised to be in that situation or raised to see men in a negative light. And what I see now is more so what happens is I see a tremendous amount of hatred towards masculinity and manhood itself that's been pushed, promoted in the culture by gynocentric thinking, and all of these things that exist in the culture that have been, this anti-man sentiment that has been pushed through the culture, and then you expect to get outcome. And I was talking about it to somebody the other day, that Scott Galloway's on the world, and this indirect way of shaming men or talking about the young men. Dude, many of them have some issues. I do agree. Many of them have some development issues. But where does the responsibility start with that? What about the parents of these young men? What about the culture itself that has allowed this anti-man, anti-masculinity sentiments to permeate and become a part of the rhetoric today, and be a part of, ingrained in the culture that we see out here today? And they've allowed this stuff to become a part of the society itself and become a normalized, where we're constantly talking about men in this negative way, beating them down. And the men who try to step to the plate, you see the guys like the Kevin Samuels to try and help, they become villainized. They become attacked. They become shamed. They become disrespected. And this is usually the outcome. And that's where the fundamental problem becomes. You know, and again, which brings us back to a full loop. What is the progress that's made? None. So if you know there's no progress that's going to make, what are guys going to do? Guys are going to do things. Travel overseas. Guys are going to get their passports and do things. Guys are going to do this. Guys are going to check out. Guys are going to do all kinds of different things, you know, to exist. He said, a lot of women will not learn how to develop the skill to know what men need or want. It's too much work or too little right. Yeah, I totally agree, my brother. It's never going to happen. And again, it's a circular conversation, man. But we've crossed the 3-hour mark, man. I appreciate you, my brother. All the brothers that have donated to the channel, appreciate you. Facts and Comfortable Truth, salute to you. My man, Yashimi Sheep, salute to you. Patrick Green, Son Vegeta, how you say that, brother? Appreciate you supporting the channel. And of course, my brother who's sponsored the stream. Appreciate you, all you brothers coming through, supporting the channel. Those who left comments, those who hit like buttons. Appreciate you coming through, sticking with me today. If you haven't hit the like button, please make sure you do. But again, this is why I see it's going to be the norm going forward, is that a lot of the men that I think women want understand and will see that they see no return on investment. They see nothing that's going to be reciprocated back to them. So they're not going to just take on loads and take on women or take on relationships that don't offer them any type of reciprocation or any type of value. With that being said, I'm out, gentlemen. Peace and blessings to you. Appreciate you guys joining me today. Take care of yourself, gentlemen. Again, nobody takes care of you like you. I'm out.